Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 16 and compare it against the iPhone 13 and see which particular iPhone is a better one for you. Now, number one, what I'll definitely tell you is between these two phones, the iPhone 16 is clearly the better phone you can probably buy in almost every single area you can imagine. The iPhone 16 is a better one, but it's also more expensive than the 13, and if you have the 13, should you go and upgrade to the 16? Let's talk about that throughout this whole entire video. Number one, if you want to pick up either one of these iPhones at any point throughout this whole entire video, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside, the iPhone 13 on the front of this particular phone is basically giving you a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. And it's a pretty good looking panel for the most part. It's not perfect, but I will tell you, for the same reasons I don't like the iPhone 13's panel anymore, is the same reasons I don't like the iPhone 16's panel. It doesn't get the brightest compared to the competition nowadays. You still have like this, thing in the display that the competition has basically removed or it's made smaller, and it's a 60 hertz panel as well. So for the iPhone 13, it's a little bit more understandable because this is a significantly older phone. This is like a 3-year-old phone now, so it's not supposed to look the best, but it doesn't look terrible. It still looks pretty good. I think it's a good looking display. Again, not perfect, but for a 3-year-old phone, it definitely looks pretty decent. Now, for the iPhone 16's panel, this is definitely a screen that I think definitely is better than the iPhone 13's, but it's really not that great of a panel anymore. Like, I feel like this thing is already outdated by the time it came out, considering that the iPhone 14 Pro from 2 years ago has a better panel than this thing. Now, you are getting the same size display, 6.1 inches, Super Retina XDR OLED display. You're still getting the dynamic island. You're getting a 60 hertz panel. It does get brighter than the iPhone 13's panel, but this panel is not the brightest compared to the competition. Even the Galaxy S24's panel is better, brighter than this thing, and I feel like this phone should be better in that area. So, from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. For the rest of the bodies, there are some advantages for something like the iPhone 16. So you're getting our volume buttons, flat sides. You're getting the action button now on the iPhone 16, which isn't really that big of a deal for me personally, but if you want to customize it, you can. The front side doesn't have much. On the bottom, you're getting a lightning port on the iPhone 13, USB Type-C port on the bottom of the iPhone 16, so that's a really good advantage for the 16. Probably worth upgrading just for that, but again, if you're not caring that much about it, then it's not that big of a deal. You're getting your power button on the left side, but you're also getting a dedicated camera button on the iPhone 16 now. So this allows you to just click it and open up photos or your camera, take a photo. You can also zoom in and zoom out with this. I've used it a little bit. It's not like the biggest advantage in the world, but it is still a really nice feature to have. On the back side, dual camera setups on the back, wide and ultra wide cameras. You're getting a standard glass back on the back of the iPhone 13, where the iPhone 16 is giving you that frosted glass back. And the iPhone 13 was the first iPhone to bring this diagonal camera on the baseline iPhones, and it's funny that now we're going back about 3 generations later, back to the way the iPhone 12 was. So, MagSafe capability on the back, wireless charging on both. But I will tell you, there's more similarity on the exterior than there are differences. Like, I would have expected a lot more differences here, but again, what are you going to do? There's not really too many things you can kind of throw, at Apple to kind of do in this case for their base iPhones, but I guess we'll end up seeing what happens in the future. But from the exterior, that kind of covers it up there. Now, one of the bigger advantages I would say for something like an iPhone 13 is the price tag. This is a significantly cheaper phone than the iPhone 16. You can probably buy this phone for like $400 or $500 right now, probably even less than, probably around $400, I would say. The 16 is $829. It's going to go down in value over time, but when it comes down to software longevity, the iPhone 13 is one of those phones that's not going to last as long as something like an iPhone 16. The 16 is basically going to last up until maybe 7 years from now. The 13 probably has like another 3 years of software updates ahead of it, maybe like 4, but probably 3. So, you're going to be getting a way longer lasting phone in something like the iPhone 16 than the iPhone 13. So, kind of keep that in mind when it kind of comes down to it as well. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between the two. The iPhone 13 has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 16 has that Apple A18 chip inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one's a faster phone between both. Okay, all the apps are cleared in the background as you guys can tell, so let us get into it. 13 is here, 16 is here, phone calls 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing, music 3, 2, 1. About the same thing, app stores 3, 2, 1. So far pretty good on both. The 13 a little bit slower that I saw opening up this app, but still basically almost the same thing. Hopping out of both these, photos 3, 2, 1. Okay, 16 slightly faster. Camera 3, 2, 1. And also imagine, I'm expecting the iPhone 16 to be faster in every single way. I'm not expecting the 13 to be faster in any way. So even if the 13 is faster even a little bit, I'm going to be very, very surprised. Tempo run 2, 3, 2, 1. This is a pretty basic game. Both are on iOS 18 right now, and both have this game mode option. And you can see that from opening up, so far it looks like the iPhone 16 was the faster one here. But the iPhone 13 is like right behind it. Like it's not really like that big of a difference as far as I can tell. So you can see right here, this one did load into this one a little bit faster here as far as you can tell. Clicking into play, let's see if there's any big differences here, which I don't really think there's going to be. But that is kind of one thing that I did notice right there. Hopping out of these two, let's go into Snapchat, 3, 2, 1. Again, the iPhone 16 is a faster one here. Hopping out of these two, let's go into something like Facebook, 3, 2, 1. And again, the iPhone 16 is faster, 13 a little bit slower. Snake versus blocks, 3, 2, 1. And with this one, I'm going to say, okay, so the iPhone 16 was the faster one there too. And so I would probably assume, and I'm going to do a full speed comparison at some point, but from the basic applications that I'm testing, this would kind of go through with every single other app that we presumably kind of see. You're probably going to be getting very similar speeds on, you're going to be getting a faster phone on the iPhone 16 in every single way. The 16 is going to be faster as I would expect, but the iPhone 13 is still doing pretty well. It's chugging along. This phone has like half the amount of RAM as this phone does. So for it to even be performing like decently well is actually pretty, interesting. Again, both supported with software, still everything's up to date there. But I'd probably tell you that for sure the iPhone 16 is probably by far the faster one here, and it's going to be the faster one here in every single way, which I'm really, really happy to see. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. Now, another thing to hit on here is the camera and the camera quality. So when it comes down to both these phones, they're both going to be giving you dual camera setups on the backside, wide and ultra-wide cameras. So very good. Kind of the same setup for the most part, 4K 60 on the front and the back. But the iPhone 16 does have that dedicated camera button, which again is kind of nice to see. Now, if we go and take a look at the actual camera qualities between both, what you're basically going to see is that from the viewpoint of what you're looking at, there's not going to be too many big differences here, right? Like you're not going to notice too many differences when it kind of comes down to the cameras. But one thing I can show you is the zooming in capability is twice as much on the iPhone 16. So on their max zooming in, you have their 10x zoom on the iPhone 16, 13 has 5x zoom. The quality of the iPhone 16 camera is going to be better, the colors are going to be better, and you have this dedicated camera button here, which you can basically use to zoom in and zoom out like I'm doing right here. You can also click on it to take a photo and hold it down to make a video just like this, which is genuinely very cool. You're also getting a new mode for spatial inside of the iPhone 16. People pretty much aren't really going to use it at all, but it's really cool if you want to go and use it. The iPhone 13 doesn't have it. They both have a lot of other similar modes though, like cinematic mode and slow mode and all these other things. But for the most part, I think I wouldn't really upgrade just for the camera. You can go for the iPhone 15 from the 13 and still get a really big upgrade from the camera side as well. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there too. And to kind of be honest, if I'm going to look at both these phones, right, I'm going to tell you, if you have an iPhone 13, if you can keep it for one more generation, if the things I talked about in this video don't really care or matter to you, I would just keep your iPhone 13 for like one more year. If you care a lot about it, then go for the 16, but I wouldn't even go for the iPhone 16. I'd go for the iPhone 16 Pro. I think the same things I complain about for the iPhone 16, pretty much are there for the 13 as well, like the lack of a high refresh rate, no, triple camera setup, no reverse wireless charging, which neither one of these phones have. I feel like you might as well go from an iPhone 13 to an iPhone 15 Pro. I feel like that'd be really good as well. I like the 16, but I think the 15 Pro is probably the better way I'd probably go and upgrade to in my personal opinion. So that kind of covers it up here. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.